Here we are, you guys. It is April 28th. We just got fantastic news today. The shelter in place is going to go a whole nother month to the end of May. So I just want to remind you guys that doing this work, doing the things that's going to keep you healthy for the next month or so, and of course even longer than that, is going to be a really high priority. Now, if you're working at home, you got to obviously make money still. That's a priority, but everything, especially in regards to the current world situation, revolves around your inner body experience. How you're feeling, what your health is like, is going to determine and change everything else around you, right? Work will go better. Relationships will go better. The fun things that you do will go better if you continue to take care of yourself. So keep doing this work. I'm proud of you guys for coming this far so far. And I have some more fun stuff for you. So remember, if you want to give me any feedback, let me know how it's going for you, how your body's feeling with all this stuff. I'd love to hear it. So we're going to get into some upper back stuff today, okay? So the rhomboids are a muscle group that we haven't gotten yet, and it's the muscle group that goes behind your shoulder blade, okay? So if you kind of put your hand on your low back here, you'll expose the shoulder blade and what lies behind it, okay? The rhomboid works in the retraction of your shoulder. So if you're pulling something towards your chest, then that muscle will contract and work there, as you might see in my shirt. It's also a muscle that gets really tight from hunching over a computer. So you'll see again, if I hunch forward, you'll notice that the middle part of my back here is rounded and protruding out. There's also TL Junction, which we'll get to today. But anytime you're hunched over something, the middle portion of your back, your thoracic spine, is going to get really tacked down, really tight, and then you have a lot of issues that are a result of that. So we're going to get into it today. Now, the first one we're going to do, as I said, is the rhomboid. You can use a double ball or a single ball, okay? Now, the easiest way to get to it is actually just using a wall and a single ball. So I'm going to show you that first. So as I said earlier, to expose the rhomboid, you put your hand on your low back, okay, like so. And then that ball is going to go behind the shoulder blade against the wall. Now, this is not a wall, this is a sauna, okay? Now, if you were to look at my legs, you would see that my knees are slightly bent because I'm actually driving my body weight into the wall. So you don't want to be completely straight up because you want force going into the wall, as I said. So now once I'm here, I'm just going to do a little gentle massaging, dipping into my legs, going up and down. And it's a really interesting sensation because it's not a really thick and meaty part of your body. It's not like your thighs, right? There's a lot of muscle in your thigh. This area and this muscle is actually very thin and laying on top of ribs. So you have the compression of the ball, then the muscle, and then onto the rib cage on your back side. So it feels different than any other area, of course. And you can play with how high you want the ball to go up your back by lowering your body down or bringing your body up higher, and the ball will then go lower on your back. So this is just a kind of nice way to massage that area, release it. You could also play with moving your arm around a little bit. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it out to the side. I'm going to bring it across my body this way and around again. Spend some time there. I think I've been going for at least 2 minutes here. If you want to go a little longer, then you can just press pause on the video. No longer than 4 minutes for that. Now, I'm going to show you what a different way of doing the other side is, and that's on the ground. So I can also release the rhomboid by laying on the ground. Now, as I said earlier, you put your hand on your low back. That exposes the rhomboid, as I said, so that's right here. But the way you're going to get there this time is by laying on your back. You're going to lift your hips up high and then put the ball behind your shoulder blade, whoop, that way. And then that hand, so I'm on my right hand right now, or right arm, right scap. I'm going to put that hand under my butt here on the ground. So I'm exposing the rhomboid while my hips are in the air. Now this particular way of getting to the rhomboid is certainly more intense. You have more weight driving into the ball. So this may be too intense for you, and that's totally okay. This is just another option for you if you don't have a wall accessible, or if you're pretty tolerant of pain or the area is not super tight, then you can use the floor like this. Okay, but you're going to try to keep your hips up. Oh, and this is pretty gnarly for me, so I'm going to take some big breaths. Of course, as you've already heard several times in these videos, we're trying to breathe in deeply, expand our rib cage, full exhale, relax. Of course, it helps to go in and out of the nose as well. The point is really that your rhomboids, or I'm sorry, your ribs are expanding as you breathe. And I'm going to do about 2 minutes of this. I'll do about 30 more seconds. Hips. I'm going to gently roll off of that. Ponder my life after such pain. Now the next one, as I said, we're working on upper back today. So we got the rhomboids. We're also now going to go into lats. And we have done lats before, but we did it with the big ball. Today we're going to do it with a smaller ball. So whatever tool you have, choose just a little bit smaller. Now remember, the lat is kind of the muscle that connects the shoulder to the pelvis, because it runs along the lateral side of your body. So if you can see how I grab this chunk of muscle that runs down my side, behind my shoulder, it goes all the way down to the pelvis down here, but we're going to work on it nice and high. So if you grab your flank here under your shoulder, and then follow it up into your armpit, you're going to find some muscle that goes right into the back of your shoulder, and that's the lat insertion. And it gets really tender in there. It's not the side of the shoulder here, just a little bit lower. So kind of finding where the body meets the shoulder on the lateral side. We're going to lay on our side there and put that small ball right in that spot. And you can see how the ball is compressing that muscle right here. And that can get a little bit spicy. Okay. Now you want to lay directly on your side so you can see that my knees are stacked, my hips are stacked, to get all my force going laterally down into the ball. And then what I'm going to do here is just a little bit of internal rotation with the shoulder, a little bit of external rotation. And we're breathing as we do that. We'll do that for about 2 minutes or so. And I'll show you with the other side how you can use the double ball as well. Sometimes the double ball is nice because it captures the tissue in between the balls. And for about a minute, I'm just going to go back and forth as so. And then for the following minute, I'm going to do a contract relax method. Now I've been surfing a ton, right? So all these muscles that allow me to pull on water, or pull on anything really, I'm doing some pulling. And that is the paddling, right? As I paddle, I'm pulling water to my side. A lot of lat engagement is working there, so my lats are getting super tight and junky. Lats, I mean, even though you're not doing a lot of pull-ups or maybe not surfing and paddling, they get tight just like any other muscle if you don't use them or if you don't stretch them, because they just get stagnant and stuck. So I'm going to take a big breath, push the elbow down, contracting. I'm driving down this direction into the floor. I feel the lat contracting. Exhale, relax, ball sinks in a little bit deeper. Take a big breath in. I'm going to do 2 more. You could do more if you'd like. Push down. Holding the breath until you exhale and relax. One more. Contract. And relax. Okay. So I got my right side. I'll show you version 2 with my left side. Double ball if you have them. And if you don't have, you know, a double ball designed to be a double ball like this, you can get 2 tennis balls or 2 baseballs and tape them together with duct tape. And it works perfectly. Okay, it works really just as well as this. So now the area that we were just in, that lateral insertion of the lat into the shoulder, it's just going to go perpendicular to the ball. So if my lat is going down, the balls will go perpendicular to that, capturing the muscle in between the 2 balls, like so. Then I'm on my side, stacking my hips, as I've already said. And now I'll play with it this way. I'll see what my left side feels like compared to my right. Feels a little tighter. Now I'm going to do this subtle internal and external rotation. And, whew, yeah, it's definitely a bit more tender for me on this side. Oh, oh. And I promise that's not acting either. Sometimes you'll find little muscles in there, because there is more than just the lat insertion. You have a little rear deltoid, infraspinatus, what else is teres major, teres minor. So there are some converging things. So sometimes you'll feel a tendon roll over or another muscle, and it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means it's moving around. And if you find a tender spot, as I just did in external rotation, you just hang out there for a couple seconds. Ooh. You don't need to continually move if you don't want to. Now I'm going to take a big breath in. I'm going to do 3 contract relaxes again on this side. Drive the elbow straight down. Completely relax. Feel it sink in deeper. It may or may not. Big breath in. Contract. And relax. Okay, we got one more. Pushing down hard. And alright, so we got rhomboids, we got lats on both sides, we got one more spot to roll. And for this one, you actually do need either a foam roller or a double ball. Okay, the double ball works better for this for sure. And I'll show you what the roller version will look like as well. But this is going to be the TL Junction. TL stands for thoracolumbar. Notice the pause there because the car is driving by. Thoracolumbar junction, TL junction. What that means is it's where your thoracic vertebrae meet your lumbar vertebrae. Different versions of the spine, right? So what happens in the vertebrae is we transition from thoracic spine down into lumbar spine. It means that the spine works differently from section to section. And in the junction, so in TL junction or CT junction, there tends to be dysfunction on immobility. So with the TL junction, as I'll show you, and you especially notice this in people with poor posture, the TL junction is that area that protrudes near the lower middle part of your back. Okay, so it may be hard to see on me, but if you find someone who has a really rounded spine, it's typically right near the beginning of the bottom third of one's back. So for myself, and another way to find that is if you find your last rib here on the outside of the body, so you kind of find where that rib is, and you go in towards the spine, it's going to be right there where I can kind of push my fingers into my back. Okay, so this is the thoracic lumbar junction right here. Now, it might be a little difficult for you to find, I get that. Now, it doesn't mean that rolling anywhere even close to it isn't beneficial. So if you get the double ball or roller in somewhat of the general area, or even work your way up and down so you know that you captured all of it, great, go ahead and do so. I'm not going to do the whole area because I know where it is, but play with it. And it's actually usually where is the most tender in the area that you find, okay? So the double ball is going to go right in that spot. Now, I'm going to get there similar to the way I did the rhomboid earlier by starting in a bridge position. So I'm going to lift my hips up. I'm going to put the ball in that spot. Hopefully you can see. Now, you know where the spot is-ish. So just, you know, as you lower your hips down, you're going to feel around in your back. Okay, am I feeling like I'm in that last rib area? Do I feel like I'm near the beginning of the bottom third of my spine? Okay, and then you're going to lower your hips all the way down to the ground. Okay, so I'm not in bridge position anymore. My hips are my hips are on the ground. Okay, then I'm going to hug my shoulders, really rounding my shoulders around and forward. The last thing I'm going to do, and I'm already feeling the sensations of this area, is if you notice that my rib cage is flared up, it's because I'm arching my back. You see space here in between the floor and my spine. I'm going to try to pull my rib cage down and push my back towards the floor, and therefore push my back into the balls, okay? So, I'm hugging my shoulders. Now watch my rib cage pull down a little bit. Now what I'm doing there is I'm aligning my spine more to being flush with the ground. Now I'm going to breathe. And if you're taking really big breaths in this spot, you'll feel how the balls get compressed by that area. And the reason for that is because the diaphragm, the transverse abdominis, they actually wrap around and insert in this TL junction. So a lot of breathing dynamics actually are incorporated and affected by the tightness of this spot. So if you tighten your TL junction, or if you're tightening your thoracic spine in general, it's going to affect your breathing. So when you get here, you may notice, oh, it's a little bit harder to take big breaths because it's painful. That's why. All of that muscle, all of that function converging in this spot. So I'm going to breathe here for another minute. Again, you could go from 2 to 4 minutes on your own. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Now, when you come off of it, when you come off of the ball, roll to the side. Okay? Now, after that, you're going to feel like, oh, my spine's kind of feeling some sort of way. Take it slow as you begin to move around a little bit. I'm going to show you really quickly with a foam roller what an area, what rolling that area can look like with a roller. So, similar, but not quite. You're not going to go quite as low, but you're going to go right in the middle of your back. Now this is not just TL junction now. We're working a little bit more thoracic spine. This is just if you need to use a roller and not a double ball, put it in that general area. Your head and shoulders do not touch the ground now. You hug your shoulders, lift your hips up off the ground a little bit, and now we very gently pull our elbows up towards our face, come back down, pull up, come back down. I'm thinking principally the same thing about the core and abs. I'm not letting my chest open and my shoulders fall back or my rib cage flare up. I'm trying to keep my rib cage pulled down and breathing deeply. And obviously if you're doing that version, you're doing about 2 to 4 minutes for that one as well. Now the very last thing we're going to do is just a little static stretch, and that's going to be a puppy dog position elevated. We've done puppy dog before. I said that before you could do elevated or not. Today I'm requesting that you do elevated for a little bit more of an increased stretch. So now we're going to play with the angles as well. So you'll see that as I face the camera that I'm going to play with the width of my hands, okay? We roll the lats, we roll the rhomboids, we roll the TL junction. This stretch is encapsulating getting all of those areas, so that's why I've chosen it. It's also just a great way to open up the low back as well, because all that tissue on the back side of our spine is going to get opened up. So if you have blocks, you're choosing a height that's going to be appropriate for you. Don't go too high too quickly. You could also put your hands on a roller like so, or a bench or a chair or anything that's a little bit elevated. But remember with puppy dog, it's not a child's pose. So child's pose would be hips all the way back. My knees are in deep flexion, hips are in deep flexion, okay? I'm getting more of a low back stretch here than anything. Puppy dog is where your knees are under your hips. And then my arms are out in front of me, similar to child's pose, like so. My hips can be slightly behind my knees, but not too far. Now you can see that my chest and shoulders don't even get to the ground. So I get a huge shoulder stretch as I do this. Okay, so that's the hip position here. Now, we can also play with the width, as I said earlier. So maybe I want to go a little wider today. This is going to get a little bit more pec in the stretch. So now I'm going to lower my chest. Okay, and I'm going to look slightly forward. So I'm not looking back, but it's just a little bit forward. If your neck gets tired, just lower your face towards the ground. One really important part of this, everyone, is that your elbows stay straight. Your elbows are locked out. They don't bend at all, okay? So if you need to reduce the height because you can't keep your elbows straight, then reduce the height, okay? Because that is very important, okay? Now once I'm here, this is the width that I've chosen. I'm not going to go any wider than this. And you can go more narrow than I am. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to breathe and hang out for the next minute or so. For this stretch, you want to do about 90 seconds in total. So I'm going to breathe all the way up into my shoulders. Do about 15 more seconds. If you start to feel any tingling sensation in your shoulders, then come out of it. You don't want to get that far into the tingling sensation. It's not dangerous, but it's just uncomfortable. Okay. So that is it for tier 1. We're nice and open now. I hope you're feeling good. We're moving on to tier 2. I will see you there shortly.